Tippy time, mate damies, Top Cat here and welcome back to the channel. Our Void Hunter has long been a staple in our fire teams thanks to its stealthy nature. It shines in in-game activities where playing your life is vital, and it's often your job as the Void Hunter to be the Res Master Mike. And this Omni build is the jewel in the crown for the Void Hunter. Unfortunately, a bunch of you out there have been missing those 40 stat points that our old mod system used to make, with things like Powerful Friends. Couple that with nerfs to both our resilience and our dodge ability, and it just doesn't feel as efficient as it used to. But it's still a really strong build, and it all begins with the aforementioned Omnioculus. This grants us that second smoke bomb and grants us a damage resist whilst invisible. Also, when you make an ally invisible, they gain damage resistance whilst invisible, and you gain melee energy in return. If you got two allies with you, you'll get a full charge back instantly, allowing you and your allies to traverse hostile territory unseen. Now the Omni grants us 4 stacks of resist, but we got space here for 2 dampener mods. And additionally, emergency reinforcement will give us resist upon taking critical damage. This mod is an absolute lifesaver and will keep you alive so you can finish what you started or run away to fight another day. Now Trapper's Ambush is the aspect required for our smoke dive. As it uses a smoke bomb, it adds that weaken effect. A big part of why I wanted to pick up this build again was the smoke bomb, as it did get buffed this season. In Season 20 this effect lasted for 4 seconds, in Season 21 it now lasts for 8 seconds, giving us much more time to take full advantage of that disorientation effect applied to the foes. I love this playstyle, it gives me big balls whilst I'm being a little chicken. We're also using the Vanishing Step. This will give us invis on dodge. I use this build for in-game, so I found the stylish execution aspect wasn't as reliable and repeatable. It forces you to run certain weapons to make it work effectively, but this build will work regardless of your weapon loadout. The Forest and the Lightblade Strike can also make or break your run, so having multiple invises at your disposal is key. Echo of Persistence is our first and most important fragment. Our Void buffs have an increased duration. This pushes our invisibility out to 8 seconds and also our overshield out to 15 seconds. Whilst this build doesn't naturally grant us overshields, in Season 21 we have 3 great mods that do. Now the stat balancing on this build is very important. I've got 80 mobility, 40 resilience, 70 recovery and 70 discipline, 40 intellect and 80 strength. Now we need 80 mobility and 80 strength to afford us enough invisibility to scuttle around the map. Most of the Void fragments in the Void kit tend to take away stats rather than give them to us. And although 40 resilience is on the low side, we've got a powerful resist to beat out max resilience, and the stealth to avoid being hit in the first place. I know if it was up to us we would love to run 6-100s, but that just isn't the case. We need to make concessions when making our builds, but the Omni's resist more than makes up for those 60 resilient points that we are missing. We've also got 4 mods here to help out our mobility and strength stats. Momentum Transfer, causing damage with a grenade, reduces our melee cooldown. Bolster and Detonation grants us class ability energy when we cause damage with our grenade. Invigoration reduces our melee cooldown each time we pick up an orb of power. And Outreach, this will reduce our melee cooldown when using our class ability. I'm double stacking this so we can get both our invisibilities feeding off one another. I'm still running the Gambler's Dodge though to give us that melee charge when dodging next to an enemy. It might not be helping me out here in this here forest, but in all other parts of the game it keeps me topped up, and it's worth the extra 10 seconds base cooldown over the reload dodge, particularly as it is easy enough to manually reload when you're cloaked in the shadows. Now I prefer Deadshot for my super. This is an in-game build and we don't always have the safe sight lines on enemies, and this allows us to deal damage to multiple targets even when we can only see a few of them. I use Echo of Dilation primarily for its stat bumps to both mobility and intellect. I've only got 40 intellect. This super has a tier 2 cooldown at 735, but the super regen is also tied to our damage output. So if you pair it up with something high damage like the Wish Ender, you can bang out your tether and have another one back in under a minute. For your last two fragments, if you got something you like, use it. It's not strict here, just so long as you don't really mess around too much with our mobility, resilience, and strength stats. Myself, I prefer to use Echo of Obscurity. Our finishes make us invisibility for safe getaways. It's often the hunter's job to crush that ghost, and this gives us that safety to do so, and will grant us that time spell resist that Omni affords us. And Cessation will emit volatile on our finishes. We then destroy volatile targets to create void breaches. Our void breaches will feed us back that class ability energy, and also tie into the Season 21 artifact for overshields and more weaken effects. In summation guys, this build does two things extremely well. It affords you and your big cojones to tank tons of damage, and constant access to stealth when you need a puss out of a fight. I've left a dim link in the description below and it will cover all the mods I haven't covered in this video here. If you liked it, thumb it. All questions and suggestions are welcome down below, and until next time, tippy time my damies, what a tie.